Oh boy, welcome back once more. It has been a while, but I've finally returned to lockpicking. A mix of burnout and school put me out for quite a while, but I'm energized and I'm back to it. We're now moving on to a very different part of the game, part 2 in fact. For some fun context, the game originally came out on December 3rd, 2021 as part 1, with everything up to the chromatic monolith, and I believe featured the first little pre-puzzle showing off our new mechanic that we'll be playing with. Now we're entering part 2, which released on February 14th, 2024, which has everything you'll be seeing going forward. It's going to get very different very quick, and as per usual, you need to be familiar with basically every mechanic prior to this to continue, even more so than usual because of the structure to these upcoming worlds. So, please be familiar with literally every mechanic prior to this, or you're going to have a hard time figuring out these puzzles. The list is growing just too long for me to want to actually read out at this point, so, just play the game or something. You can watch my videos, whatever. You need to know literally everything, so... Now, before we get into the puzzles proper, there's a few things we need to go over at this section. Firstly, we've picked up a couple new instruments of destruction, although only one is relevant for our puzzle solving. If you've played the game yourself, you know we've acquired 1, the keypad, which allows us to see our key counts at any time by pressing A, and 2, the warp rod, which allows us to teleport around to any world we've been in before, much quicker than actually just running around. These are both very useful tools, especially in the future, but secondly and more relevant, the main difference of these upcoming worlds, rather than just an array of puzzles to solve, as has been tradition, we now have only one puzzle to complete at a time, with many using a new mechanic, salvaging. For now, merely to access the next puzzle. Salvaging is done by touching an input point, and then, based on the salvage ID, will go to its respective output point, and boot you out of the level, or in this case, now it's a page. If you saw the previous video's ending, you'll have seen me salvage a 1-lock white to even enter the autumn woods. Another notable thing, there's a few signs lit around the hub here, which I recommend reading as they're all fairly useful either as a tutorial or foreshadowing. And some final details about the new arrangement. When a page is beaten, it will unlock a freely accessible entrance to that page, rather than having to perform whatever action is necessary to access the next one originally. This is incredibly useful, but also, because of how I make the videos, that means you'll see that I've already finished each level by the time I actually record the gameplay parts. Hopefully this doesn't shatter any illusions you had of me, solving these for the first time on video. But, with all of that said, we'll only have one level or page available at a time, so let's get to our first one. First of all, let's just beat the page. We need 8 white, so we'll need to master the -4 bicolored red to get them. We can't gain negative red outside of the key pickups, so we have to take the 20 cyan so we can actually get closer to accessing the bicolored door. We obviously need pink as well, so we'll have to spend 3 cyan and -2 red to get to 8 pink. Then we can go get our 8 white, and next we need to figure out how to lose our other 17 cyan. We obviously can't use solely the bicolored cyan at the bottom, so we'll need to get -pink. So we can open the 4-lock and bicolored pink as well, setting us to -2. We can get rid of at most 9 cyan by taking the other -3 red and flipping, which adds up perfectly with the 8 white we have, and can use on the bicolored cyan at the bottom. So doing all of that, we'll get rid of our 17 cyan and can easily leave. But obviously, we're not done here yet. We need to get rid of 100 cyan to access the next page, so we'll clearly need that 100 lock cyan to be salvaged so we can actually do that. Since we won't be beating the page, we can just take the Star Master Key instead of leaving it there. Now, the only way we could gain cyan is via the combo cyan, so we'll need to get a bunch of -pink, which can be pretty easily done by getting the 8 pink in the same way, then getting at least 8 pink for the 6 lock below, and just making a bunch of copies of the bicolored pink. I made 11 copies, but you can do whatever you want. I don't think it really matters very much. Then it's really easy to just make a few extra copies of the combo cyan with as few positive red as possible, or again, just as many as you want, as long as you've got more -pink than red. Then, once you've got over 100, or rather at least 108, go open the 6-lock white all those, and finally you can salvage the 100 lock cyan. And now that we've done that, we can spin the 100 cyan back at the hub world on it so we can actually reach our next level. And there's no salvaging here. Sometimes we just get a normal page around here. We need negative 63 black exactly from the combo door, which notably has a Glitch Blast lock on it, so we gotta find the magic combo here. We can immediately lock in the 72 cyan and its blast as what we can use to cross through on that final route, and additionally we know we'll need at least the 1 orange to reach negative 63 since, odd numbers and everything. Now then, doing some basic math, 63 minus 54 leaves 9 to be fulfilled, which could work if we didn't have that glitch lock, since because of that 1 of the other colors will be duplicated, and thus we can never reach exactly negative 63. So we know the 36 cyan is what we'll actually need for the door, and so need 63 minus 36, aka 27 of the other keys. We basically know the glitch has to be blue at this point, so how many blues times 2 still leaves room for orange to fill in the gap. Obviously 18 or more won't work at all, 6 would remove 12, leaving 15 to fill, which we clearly can't get from orange, and thus blue needs to be 12, and so orange must be 3 for the open. So now that we know what we need to do, take the 4 orange route, then either the 18 or 6 blue, and then either 54 or 72 cyan, then go open the opposite blue route we didn't open earlier to get the glitch state back onto blue, take the 2 and 1 oranges, 12 blue, 36 cyan, and open the combo door to leave. Again, solving it first, which I'll just be doing for every page going forward, just to not have to mention it every time. We need the negative 2 purple to leave, as well as 5 green to clear the aura. There's nothing we can do to start besides opening the blank green, then going to grab the 3 red keys. After that, we obviously can't open the negative blast door, not that negative 5 orange would be particularly useful here anyways, and so we must spend 2 green to get 5 orange, then we can grab the sign flip up top, star our red, since we'll need them for the frozen orange, and open the 3 lock and white afterwards. Finally, we have to find a way to get rid of our orange, which you first thought maybe the negative orange doors after spending another 2, but that would force us to take 9 unremovable purple, since the only thing we could spend on the glitch door here is orange. Which, speaking of, means it is our only way to get rid of them as well. So, we need to clear the 3 lock red before the 2 lock orange, then open it as well as the glitch door afterwards to get down to 0, and then from there you can easily beat the page. But now, we actually gotta salvage something. There's 3 green gating a blank door, but looking at the page, there's no way to salvage a 3 lock or anything exactly similar. However, there is a glitch star key, which if we made green and then locked at 0, we'd be able to easily move on. Obviously, since we must be at 0, then we need to salvage the blank green, so we can completely ignore the bottom half of the page in terms of finding the salvage. We also know that we can't flip our green until after we open the 3 lock, and given the blank red at the end of the bottom route, we'll have to lock in our red at 0. It's pretty straightforward from here, frankly. Take the negative 16 orange after getting 5 of them, open both of the negative doors, hit the salvage, grab your exact 0, and finally open the blank. To make a long story short for this one, we need to clear our brown keys while maximizing our master key count. Then, take 5 masters at the end for the final door as if you count it. You simply cannot reach it while having brown. We can lock in which masters we take to get to 5 as well, since the 3 and 2 both cost more to access via masters than they are actually worth, so can safely be saved for after we clear our brown. First things first, the cheapest route to start is going down and up, as it effectively only costs 3 compared to the 4 from the top route, both factoring in grabbing the 2 keys. And like I said, you go up after the 2, since obviously you should shoot for getting the 6 keys afterwards, since it's a straight profit, basically gaining you 2 keys. Then, with a few more getting spent, you'll be at the central area with 6 keys. But before we get into the tricky part, we can net another 2 keys from the 8 below us. And finally, let's start counting opens. We need 9 masters to reach the 1 lock, and getting back up here after reaching that count would force us to open the right route, so at some point we'll need to spend 7 here. Because of that being forced regardless, that effectively makes the 9 masters a net +2 profit in the future, so another 7 keys can be safely known to use there. Now counting up all the other profitable masters and costs will thus guarantee to need to spend 42 keys with a total of 42 masters to pick up, which basically seals exactly what we have to do since the numbers add up. We have to spend 7 immediately and go to 6 afterwards. Then we have to spend another 2 to reach an intersection. If we went left, we'd effectively go down to 2 keys and not be able to progress, so we must go right, which, after grabbing both 4s, nets us an extra key, so by going left now, we'll have the 3 and can access to 5, which also lets us access the 6, which lets us access the 9, which lets us clear our brown to get the remaining 5 masters so we can finally leave. Oh, we can just leave immediately on this one, that's nice. And I also won't be mentioning it going forward in similar circumstances. It also shows us what we'll need to get to the next page, which is something that gives us red to clear the aura. This page basically immediately tells you, thankfully, that a door with other existing copies will not be salvaged when opened, so we can't just get an easy way out by opening a pre-existing copy, unfortunately. But there is that -4 bicolored pink that's frozen. If we could just unfreeze it really quick with a glitch door, then we'll just be done already. That was really easy. Oh, I guess that's what they mean by lost in translation. So yeah, if you'll notice, that door in the page is a negative copy. So, when salvaged, it's just placing the standard positive copy of the door onto the output. Hence, it being a +4 lock instead of a -4 lock. Effectively, it just takes the normal, real door, regardless of any shenanigans done to it, when salvaged. This includes if it's cursed by brown, or if it's a copy of any ilk. So we then know we need to salvage either the bottommost door, or the negative copy towards the top, since its non-negative copy must be a -4 bicolored pink. However, we clearly can't get -4i pink nor brown, thus we can exclude the bottom one, and now know we must salvage the top door instead. That means we need the full brown and both 2 eyes, which also forces the full brown to be used on the topmost door, and thus we have to use our negative master on the negative copy to clear it out. Once you figure out that aspect of this level, solving it is actually pretty straightforward. You open the blank pink to set the glitch state, and open that one since otherwise we'd never be able to. Then get the other 8 red from the other negative doors, go down to 0 to open the blank doors and get most of the brown, curse and use the master key on the salvage door, open the full door up top to grab the remaining 2i brown, and finally hit the salvage point to grab that door. Now we can open the -4 bicolored pink to get some red to unfreeze the one guarding page 6. This one's a very brief puzzle. We get 1 right key and need to cross and get past the house. We have to take brown to start, obviously. If we took the 4, we'd be unable to spend all of them though, and since the combo door making up the house has both blank and non-blank locks on it, we cannot open it on brown. Thus, we have to start with the 2 brown, and literally by process of elimination, the only way we can get through is by opening both of the other 2 white locks and taking the -2 cyan. Finally, we still need to get past the house, which you can actually just make the jump from the ground up to the top roof to open the blank brown lock, then you can just walk over the roof to leave. Alright, we're on the final page, and if you read a certain sign, you'll know that the entrance to the next chapter is somewhere in the hub, yet we don't see any special hallway. But there is one more door that we could open if we salvage the blank black from this level. Well, keeping that in mind, let's first get a high score. Again, it's not really any different from the quote-unquote logic from before. We just need to maximize their key counts as much as possible by opening the blast locks as low as possible, while still having enough to keep cooking afterwards, for lack of a better term. I won't and probably can't accurately explain it, so just look and learn if you must, but it's pretty easy, very similar to the old one. But as for the salvage point itself, it's guarded by -7 cyan and 7 purple, and then the black has a blank purple and cyan gating it, and since we can't jump out afterwards, we need to have exactly that many to leave. We can't immediately know that a route isn't working if both key counts end up at an even amount after the one lock is opened. You can very quickly find out it's impossible to reach 7 of both by starting at the bottom as well, so we must start with the one lock and the blast behind it. Now, neither blast should be opened next, since they're both effectively equivalent counts thanks to both colors of door being just mirrors of each other. So we can just start with either 2 lock, and if we opened the bicolored blast now, we'd send the other to 4, which we simply cannot use to get up to 7 by just experiencing it. Neither I nor the lockpick really had a logic to how that's the case, but it is evident if you try it. I'm sure there's some discrete math that could prove it or something, I don't know. Now, spinning cyan would obviously not work since we just wouldn't have enough opens left to recover from the loss, so we must spin the purple blast to go up to 3 purple. Again, spinning our cyan would kill the run now, so we need to open the bicolored purple below, getting us to -6 cyan. From here, you really only have one choice, to open the -2 and the bicolored blast, then the normal blast and the bicolored behind it, setting us to 7 of both, in terms of absolute value at least. Then you can just jump down, open all the doors, hit the salvage point, and open the black door, which now we can open it back in the hub, thus setting the glitch state to black, so we can spin the -8 black up there on the glitch door, and, there's the door for our next chapter. So, get ready for the Frozen Palace. So, needless to say, that ends all of this world for now. It's a little weird structuring this now, since we're kind of juggling between both the hub and the actual levels, but it's still pretty similar at the end of the day. There is still a lot to come with salvaging. As with pretty much every other mechanic, it's going to be taken to its logical extreme as we go forward. There's also some weird looking keys around in the first chapter's hub world. They seem completely inaccessible so far, and if you really try and think outside the box, yeah, they're still inaccessible, even with whatever salvages you currently have access to. So for now, let's just ignore them going forward, as they're probably not possible anyways. But, feel free to try it if you think you can get one. Who might have stopped you and all that. As for my thoughts, I, unsurprisingly, probably love the salvaging mechanic. It's such a cool one, and just a logical progression for where the game could go after exploring all the pre-existing mechanics pretty thoroughly at this point, especially with Chromatic Monolith. And, if you think about it, the backside really only added one outright new feature with glitch keys, and then some really small things like star keys on top of that. So, there wasn't actually that much new things back there, technically. But since I've played further than this before, I know how interesting this will get as well. But that will obviously be for another time. I think that's about everything I've got to say about this for now, though, so I hope you've enjoyed, and that I will see you for the rest of this series, and very unique part of the game. Probably my favorite. Anyways, see ya! Okay, is everyone gone who is just here for the guide? Okay, good. Now I can talk about channel stuff. So like I said at the start of the video, burnout and school kind of put me off from making these for a while, but I am now feeling pretty reinvigorated to actually keep making them. But there is this elephant that's just been standing on my domicile lately, and that's the fact that school is now starting right back up again, probably very shortly after I upload this, as long as I am able to actually crunch this out in the week before. Just to dissuade any rumors of me not actually making content though, I did spend 2 weeks over the winter break making a script and recording footage for a video on a Flash game, Minecraft Tower Defense if you're curious, and then I realized that this was really boring, and that I don't actually think this is a hypothetically good video to watch. It wasn't even burnout or anything, I just, I finished the script, I finished everything I wanted to do for the video, and in terms of before I started editing and recording. And then I just had the sudden realization of, oh, this is actually not good at all. This is just like nostalgic slop, basically. Not really worth talking about, I fear. So yeah, I don't know. I feel bad that that's just going into the bin effectively, but I genuinely, I trust my gut. I genuinely don't think that it was going to be a very enjoyable video, because like, at least to me, if I don't want to watch my videos, then I don't think anyone else would, personally. So, I don't know, and that does tend to reflect in how they perform. So, anyways, as I was saying, as always, my upload schedule is going to continue not being reliable, which is probably the most reliable thing about it. I still hope to get some more out over the semester, just because I'm feeling it, and hopefully, at least in the first like few weeks of school, it won't be that bad, and so I can still dedicate more time to this, but we'll see. As for the more fun topics, I do have a non-lockpick video idea or two running around upstairs. Both are strange though. One is specifically similar to my Spelunky guides from back in the day, while the other is a lot more abstract and more of a fun concept rather than something I think is liable to happen in the near future whatsoever. I don't want to give anything away, lest I spoil the surprise, but I think they're going to be fun, if and when they actually happen. And yes, I have worked on part 2 for the Classic Cube maps, if you're curious. I know a lot of people watched that one, so if by any chance you're one of them and you liked it or whatever, now you know. I kind of just got stuck on this one map that I didn't like that much, and it's sadly pretty long too, so I just really lost a fair bit of interest, and, pair that with everything else that I mentioned, just haven't really worked on it in quite a bit at this point. Worst case scenario though, I will probably buckle down and finish it over the summer. But yeah, so nothing too crazy going on, all things considered. But I did want to update because I like doing it. I like making sure people know what's up if they actually care. And I think shoving it at the end of the video is convenient. So yeah, video's gonna actually end now. Bye!